Welcome to Stitches in Time, the podcast discussing Doctor Who the way it was meant to be watched, in chronological order, one clip at a time, starting at the Big Bang and ending with the heat death of the universe. I'm Becca, the Matrix Archivist, and I spent the last 12 years of my life meticulously editing the entire televised Doctor Who universe into chronological order.
And I'm Mandy. And can I be honest, Becca?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone in Doctor Who has seen a vulva before.
I mean, that may be the case.
I definitely came here expecting something. And maybe that's a little bit on me, but I think it's a little bit on them too. We're here today to talk about Castrovalva.
Yeah. We are talking about the Fifth Doctor's first story, Castrovalva, parts 2 through 4, just the parts that take place basically in Castrovalva. And also joining us is our repeat offender.
Wow. That's true, though.
Yeah. A writer and podcaster who you can also hear.
Vulva offender.
Well, hey, whoa. Not for a while, actually, but that's a different podcast.
Oh no. Michael Nixon is a writer and podcaster who you can hear as the voice of Killsphere, a doomsday machine with a heart of gold on the Good Chaotic podcast, which is out now on all podcasting apparatuses. Welcome back, Michael Nixon.
Finish this episode of this podcast first, and then go check out that other thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No, wait. Hang on. I messed up that intro. Intro. Can I do it? Can I do another take?
No.
Joining us for the first time.
No. Oh no. Also, I mean, I don't know if you've had the 13th Doctor show up in the show yet. The new order is not acceptable. I won't allow it. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm not doing it. The 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, has showed up on the show. So at least, hopefully at some point, that Doctor has seen a vulva. Well, but you know what? We don't know. And it's not, who knows? Who knows? As Tegan says, shockingly early in the clip, we made it to Castrovalva, everybody. We did it. Mm-hmm. We're not pronouncing it wrong. We're pronouncing it how they say it in the show over and over again.
They're here. Castrovalva.
Yep. And much like Tegan and Nyssa wheeling the Zero cabinet on the wheelchair, Becca and Mandy have wheeled this bit all the way here. We've made it, folks. I'm levitating.
I want to be clear. I think I had the least to do with this entire. I think this is a real Mandy brain trust production.
You might think that here might finally be the end of it, because I know we've had a lot of fun on this podcast, and there are a lot of Doctor Who fans who have been here listening and be like, oh, how funny and irreverent that Mandy has picked on this ruse, because according to Stitches in Time, it all begins with Castrovalva.
Right.
And they give little nods in a way that is entirely coincidental. But Mandy's just deciding to put threads together. And I know you're thinking, oh, haha, now she will see the error of her ways. And I want you to know that you are entirely correct, but not in the way you're thinking. Because my problem is I have spent all of this time asking, what is the Castrovalva? And I should have been asking, whose Castrovalva is it? Because that is the true secret that we are discovering today.
Yeah. What do you think? How do you think you would answer that question now, having seen the?
We will get there.
Oh, okay.
We will get there.
We're setting that up for later. Good.
Yeah. Obviously, we have to weave our listeners a tale because they only know what the BBC wants them to know, and we're here to bring them the truth.
That is true. At the very heart of Stitches in Time is sort of reframing all of this stuff that happens in Doctor Who in a new way. And, we certainly have that. I know this happens later in the episode, but we've been talking a lot about Adric on this podcast. There's been a lot of Adric stuff that's come up. He died.
Well,
he
okay.
died again.
We've had in the chronology of Adric, he started dead. He was a ghost. He was a ghost.
Right.
And then he became alive.
Right.
Through the death of the dinosaurs. Because he's fine now.
Right. But also, there was that moment where Nyssa looks at him in the mirror, and he's like,
Adric! No, don't turn around. Just listen and listen quickly. The master mustn't find me here.
Don't turn around. And in my mind, that sentence was, don't turn around or you'll kill me, Nyssa. Just in the same way he says it in Time Flight. And then she turns around and he gets electrocuted and disappears.
It turns out the myth of Orpheus is actually just an extremely flawed retelling of Castrovalva, and they got really focused on the one tiny bit in Castrovalva where Adric's in the mirror. It's like, don't turn around or I'll disappear. And Homer, or whoever wrote that, Homer Simpson, wrote that. Yeah.
For people who don't know about Adric, all of this might seem very confusing. If you've seen Danny Phantom, then you fully comprehend what this is about. But okay, so let's start at the start. First, I would like to note that in our previous episode, we confirmed that the TARDIS has a soul and can feel pain, and so we immediately wreck it.
Yeah.
First thing out the gate. And that is because Nyssa and Tegan have to carry the Doctor out and take him to the Castrovalva because he must pay for his Adric crimes of killing a boy through negligence.
Right. And the TARDIS, like, because we also just had the scene of like Matt Smith building a TARDIS out of scratch, and now we're just like taking bits of it off to make a casket.
We'll be carrying the Doctor, don't forget.
Oh, just the zero cabinet.
Hey?
You won't feel my weight. I'll make it easy for you. I'll be levitating.
This is a floating casket.
A tasteful cabinet. I mean, zero cabinet, please.
Hey, if anybody is playing the video of this podcast episode at my funeral, if I'm not buried in a zero cabinet, I'm going to be very upset.
Same. If my body isn't in there and the top of the casket doesn't go zoot and close, sealing me in, what's the point?
That's the dream.
Is he weightless in the casket or not? Because he's like, oh, you're not going to have any trouble carrying me. I'm going to completely float. And then they're like, no, this bitch heavy. They have to like use a wheelchair and just like lug it in the weird. Why didn't they just use the chair to bring him there?
That's a great question.
That's a really great question.
I will say though, the Peter Davison's Doctor, whatever number you're using now, does say he's going to try to levitate while in the cabinet, and then
and doesn't.
I think it's worth noting that he also says he's really tired, which if I had been Tom Baker for the last 7 years, I would also be really tired too. So I think it's reasonable that he's a little exhausted.
From that very long Zoom call that he had with Tom Baker.
True. Is all of Big Finish recorded in that Zoom call? It's not something you have to worry about. Never mind.
We can't, because then we will never see Becca again.
No, she'll be gone.
I cannot.
So they get in. There's a lot of very fun little nods because they have to figure out how to get into Castrovalva, and it's very tight and very well protected, and it's not easy to gain entry to the Castrovalva.
I have in my notes, I feel like a lot of people are always confused about how to navigate the Castrovalva. So I'm glad that was consistent in the fiction as well.
Yeah.
Also, just another quote from this episode that I found really apt.
You should prepare yourselves for disappointment.
You should prepare yourselves for disappointment. That felt like a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I took a few of these down that I thought were pretty strong. Another would be,
This noise is not acceptable.
I feel like you should just have that as a drop for any time I make a point on the podcast. Just click. This noise is unacceptable. Silence.
We'll say they do eventually make it into the Castrovalva, and they're kind of just hanging out. There's a library. There's a roasted pig. This was not what I was expecting to be inside the Castrovalva based on the name of it, but maybe that's on me a little bit.
Also, trigger warning. That's a pig on a spit, just twirling around on there. I was not prepared for just like an actual pig to be hanging out in this episode, dead over a stage flame, clearly not cooking at all. Not even a little bit.
Yeah, it really just kind of invited for me, like, the bit that I was missing a little bit is I presumed when they said Castrovalva, I was thinking, as a proud owner of a 92 vulva, I thought I knew what it would look like. But this is a sci-fi show, so it's not like mine.
And it's
all.
Also, according to my random number generator, it's also 8014 BC. So, they might have changed over the years.
They ain't built mine yet.
Yeah,
this is what they look like right now.
This is the prototype. They haven't worked out all the kinks yet.
It's also arguably all coming out of Adric's brain. Like it's all some sort of weird math projection.
So that's how you're sustaining Castrovalva.
My own adaptation of the block transfer computation. Since we last met, Adric's mathematical powers have been put to lively use.
Which I'll get back to that later. Haha. But maybe that's why it's all so strange and mathematic and doesn't make any sense, because also Adric's never seen one.
I have my own theories, and I know I keep hinting, and I need the audience to know it will be disappointing when I finally get there. But
Mine too. Mine as well.
I have continuing theories as to what this is, but we will get on with it because they have gotten into the Castrovalva. I want to note the doctor eats celery.
Definitely civilization.
I did not know that he would actually do that. It seemed like a thing for wearing and for having and not a thing for eating.
Yeah.
Mandy, I also want you to know that Peter Davison hates celery. He does not like it.
Wait, really?
He doesn't even like eating it. There's a behind the scenes thing where and you can catch it even in the Stitches in Time edit. He takes a bite of that celery and the camera hard cuts because the first thing he does is just spit that shit clean out of his mouth. He hates celery. So the fact that they also had to like make a knitted one, like it's a fake celery, so he doesn't have to deal with it at all.
This is in the BBC edit, his first episode, and I wonder if they decided, hey, Peter Davison really hates celery. It'd be so funny if we made him wear a piece of celery forever.
Trying to make it a vital part of your character. This thing you hate.
Yeah.
But that's what he gets for killing that boy.
That's his comeuppance.
Which he doesn't even remember. Wow. There is a bit where Nyssa and Tegan are walking down a hall and they're like, we can't tell the doctor about Adric. And I did have to pause and ask my partner, enemy of the show, Ben Paddon, whether or not this took place before or after Adric dying, because it seemed like they were talking about after. I was like, oh, clearly the doctor has forgotten that Adric died and he would be upset to know that information. And I was like, no, that hasn't happened yet.
But also he's losing track of a lot of stuff in this. He's like forgetting how to count to 3.
3, sir.
What?
3 says what comes after 2.
Do you know, that's exactly what I thought.
It's a careful manipulation by the BBC edit of they made in the BBC edit seem like that's not what they were talking about.
Right.
It's very. I've been rewatching the show Unreal, which is just kind of a fictionalized version of like a Bachelor type show, and it's really about how the producers behind the scenes manipulate their audience. And this is a good example of the sort of editing that they do there of like the careful. You've said one thing, but we're going to rework it and put it at a different time period and make sure that you're wearing the same shirt that day. Like, that's why they always have to wear the same shirts.
Right. Yeah.
It's just so that they can edit the time together and to tell whatever stories they want to tell.
Yeah, that's true. I want to also acknowledge that I messed something up with this.
No.
I messed up with Stitches in Time because I labeled this as taking place on the planet Castrovalva.
Uh-oh.
And apparently, Castrovalva, which is now just the way I pronounce that word, apparently.
Them too.
Um,
Them too. Many times, I swear, in the clip.
Oh, God.
Them as well.
So, apparently, Castrovalva is just the name of the castle that Adric made with his math powers. And I watched the BBC edit of this whole thing just to check. And they do not give the name of a planet. They give the galaxy it's in and the star cluster it's in and the name of the town, but somehow they missed the name of the planet.
I will go as far to say that means that there's no reason that isn't also the name of the planet.
If anything, the only change you'd have to make is a planet, comma, Castrovalva. It's fine. I think it totally works. You're good.
Well, listeners will know that in future incarnations of Stitches in Time that will be on stitchesintie.me for your viewing pleasure, I will have changed this to unnamed planet. And honestly, by the time I'm aiming to do another export after the Christmas episode airs, which has already happened, of course.
Right.
Yeah, and we loved it.
Woo!
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Probably.
And so by the time this episode of the podcast comes out, it may already be live on Stitches in Time, the new situation. Anyway, but I just wanted to apologize to certainly the two of you for misleading you in such a way.
In fairness, there's a plane, so I will continue this thought. Once this plane is away, it's zooming.
Right. I did specifically do my apology over that plane, so if like I have to cut it out for like audio quality issues, then like, oh no, I guess.
In fairness to you, Becca, Castrovalva
Thank you.
is distinguished is a very difficult place to really decipher the dimensions and the location of, as they show in the episode.
True.
They do a whole draw the Hannibal clock for the Castrovalva, and it is unclear how much of it is a mental thing that people are having where they can't imagine it versus a sort of House of Leaves. The Castrovalva is ever changing and shifting.
Yeah, I imagined it as like a Pleasantville kind of thing of like, oh, once you reach the end of this street, you go right back to the top of that street. And that's your geography lesson for today, kids.
And the thing because I really got stuck on this of like, okay, so this is what I'm finally getting the answer of, this is what the Castrovalva is, which is not really what I was expecting from a castration vulva, partly because you don't actually go into a vulva. A vulva is the exterior part, the interior is the vagina, but I wouldn't expect BBC writers to really get into the specific nitty gritty of like exterior versus, but just we should clarify our terms here.
Michael's taking copious notes.
No, keep going. Keep yeah. I'll just pop in that this is the most about this I've learned because I went to public school in Pennsylvania. So all I know is don't.
We are very quickly about to learn how little I know about anatomy because I went to public school in Florida. Ding ding. But during my time in public school in Florida, I got really into this series of shorts by Isabella Rossellini. Have any of you let me see these names?
I haven't, but you have. This is not the first time you've brought them up on this podcast.
Yeah, there's a series of short. I know I have brought them up before because I talk about them all the time because they live in my brain rent free.
Yeah,
I think about them at least once a week. I only
know about them from you talking about them.
Okay, so it is. I'm pretty sure one of them is called "Seduce Me." There's like a couple different ones, but it's a series of shorts where Isabella Rossellini teaches you about how different animals reproduce, and the way that she does this is she dresses up as the animal and she has sex with a puppet. And that's just every single episode is just the different ways animals mate. And one episode is a duck. She has a duck. She wears like, it's like just creatures. Just on its head. She like has like a little helmet kind of thing. And then there's a duck puppet. And ducks, as you can probably hear from Michael squirming, are gross.
Terrible
because
creatures.
So a duck, and I am also going to be using some improper terminology here. Duck penis is probably not the appropriate word, but it is the closest for the visual that I am trying to give you. A duck penis is like a corkscrew, and it is for them to be able to penetrate the other duck against its will. But the other duck has figured out, as the corkscrew duck dick evolved, so too did the duck vagina to become a labyrinth and have just like secret tunnels and like various like caverns to have a place so that as the other duck would like lay its seed, it would put it into like the wrong little hole and it wasn't able to get it that way. And so they are constantly evolving so that the corkscrew evolves to go in this way in order to like get better at getting inside the duck vagina. And then the duck vagina was like, no, I made a secret room over here. Ha ha. And it's a back and forth. And that's when I realized this is a duck vagina. The Castrovalva is a duck vagina.
Blowing my mind right now, Mandy. Absolutely blowing my mind.
The doctor is trying to penetrate it. And as we're going through, we're talking to different people. We're learning about the library, reading books. We're asking children about math. And we keep seeing one person with the same face over and over again. Sometimes he's an old guy. Sometimes he's like a soldier guy. And it's one man. And it is the owner of that duck vagina. It is the master.
Yeah.
The master has lured the doctor into his duck vagina to plant his seed.
That all checks out. Yeah. I think that having seen a lot of the other episodes of Doctor Who in which Anthony Ainley as the master has like disguised himself as other characters.
Yeah.
Like usually he's kind of a dick about it. But his like old man as the Portreeve persona is actually pretty charming, and so that's how you get into the Castrovalva, guys. Just be charming and nice about it. That's how you get laid.
It's an important lesson about consent. I gotta be clear. Y'all keep saying that. Oh well, it's Adric made the Castrovalva, and I definitely missed that part. So I don't know where the boy fits into the duck vagina. Probably not in a way that is comfortable for any of us to think about. But there you go. There you have it.
Yeah, it's basically a dream Adric is having. Well, it's not really. There's a part where they take down a tapestry and Adric's back there, and he's in the web, bondaged up in the web. Web.
See it was kind of staggering to find out that the bondage web was also a worldwide web. It was a multi-purpose web, and then discovering that this is also maybe the prequel to Madam Web, because originally it's the Master's Web.
Ooh.
And he's yelling, "My web!" Which, honestly, we have to have a drop right now of the Master one of the several times towards the end of this clip going, "My web! My web! My web!" Incredible. Yeah. Also, just the Master's disguise, I do want to go back that the Port Reeve, the disguise this time is literally a hat on a hat, which feels a little too metatextual even for the Master.
He got a miscopy of the Cat in the Hat and got a little confused.
The hat on the hat. What the hell is this? Oh, all right, fine.
It does the hats in this episode do look like the production staff were just ordering a lot of soup from takeout restaurants and we're like, hey, you know what we could use these containers for? Let's call the wardrobe department.
1, translucent bucket hats. 2, single sequin on the head. Don't even worry about it. 3, we're gonna need a lot of drapes.
So many drapes.
And they nailed it. And also no one in production design at any stage or at any stage of this production saw Adric strung up in that web and went, wait a second. What are we doing here? What's this scene about? What's going on here? Hey, man.
How old is Adric supposed to be?
I want to say 14, 15. Let's see what the wiki says.
Anytime you think Adric is older than you might think, just remember that his little star lapel is a math badge he wears proudly. So he's
I've seen him brag about his math badge.
I was there. He died. Yeah. It didn't go great. It was bad. He was wrong. It's empirically.
But this makes a lot more sense if this is the dreams of a 14-year-old boy that has definitely heard of a vulva and is excited to learn more.
I guess this is the right moment for me to ask. Well, Becca, I'll wait for you to see if do we have any evidence that Adric has experienced the concept of age? Also bearing in mind he's from a parallel universe to our universe that operates differently.
So, yes.
You'll get there.
Okay, so in general, Google says 19. I don't believe that, but whatever.
Nope.
But I also, in Googling how old is Adric supposed to be?
Uh-oh. That's not good.
I found a Big Finish story that I did not know existed called The Boy That Time Forgot.
Yes. Is this the Scorpion King one?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's just the 5th Doctor in the 10 minutes of this episode that he forgets that Adric exists and is trying to count and just keeps counting Nyssa or Tegan twice.
Becca, before you keep reading, can I tell you both about this audio so I can see you both react to it instead?
Please. Yes.
Okay,
Please.
So basically the pitch of the audio is, hey, what if Adric survived? And the answer
he did.
And the answer is Stitches in Time, Michael, actually.
Okay, so what if Adric survived after the dinosaur explosion thing in the production order and continued to age normally?
Mm-hmm.
Not trapped in a mind web. And the answer is a completely different actor plays an older version of him who rules the dinosaurs as someone called the Scorpion King, which is, I think, either before The Mummy Returns or even more hilariously, after The Mummy Returns. You gotta check it out.
So I'm just looking at this on the TARDIS.
No, I
wiki.
explained it. I gotta. We can move on.
Perfect.
In the section, because there's not a lot about like what the story is about.
I wrote this article, Becca.
But in the
no, I did not.
even after on this podcast our repeated calls for we need a Stitches in Time wiki, and you're still working on the Doctor Who one. Yes.
No, I'm typing this page as you're refreshing the page on your end too.
Becca, I'm very concerned about you learning more about Big Finish. I would like to pull you out of this labyrinthine duck vagina before you are trapped forever.
I feel like Mandy should get the opportunity to say, Becca, you have to back away from Big Finish. You have to step away from the wiki.
I just want to read this one thing. This is in the world building section and mentioning the Doctor's age. Because, the Doctor says he is, quote, hundreds of years, unquote, older than the elderly Adric. However, he makes this statement before Adric reveals that he is over 500 years old.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. So that's how old Adric is. That's the long answer to how old Adric is.
Still short, which is good. The long answer is to listen to that audio, which I don't recommend. Don't do that.
Interesting.
Also, quick just beat worth noting, since this is all in Adric's head, I do like the detail that only the short kings can go hunting. That's nice. Feels like something inside the little boy's brain. I do want to ask you, Becca, before I forget, since this was all technically some sort of mind computation from Adric's dream math brain, could you have just skipped this whole section? Could you have just completely cut this out of this entirely? Because it's a dream. It's all a big dream.
Well, here's the thing. I do include things that happen in people's minds.
That's
as evidenced when we talked about the power of the Doctor. We went into look, as long as it's not happening while time traveling, it's in this edit.
I guess like what
I found my first complaint about this edit, actually.
What we actually need is, while this is happening, we just need an overlay of this. Someone's just unconscious right now. It's just like Adric lying horizontally, dreaming about what's going on.
What would be the thing Stitches in Time needs is occasionally a banner will come up that goes, "This might be fictional." That's what you need to happen. Just in the it needs one more banner.
Someone is thinking about this. We are just showing you in real time them thinking about this.
Well, so
they spent 45 minutes thinking about this.
My understanding of this episode was that it is all like stuff that comes from Adric's mind, but it's all stuff that like he created through his magic math powers and the Master's like bullshit.
The Master's duck vagina is real.
Right. I know about block transfer computations because I've seen Legopolis in the production release order. How far away are you from Legopolis right now?
Oh, forever. I mean...
We're not going to see the Lego police. I'm not afraid of them.
Okay. The Lego police might be a good new
is really good
running bit. It's just the Liam Neeson cop from the Lego movie with the squiggly face.
Legopolis is like a present day, like it happens.
That's right. It's in the 80s. Yeah, you're never getting there.
So it's going to be in the 1980s, and we're
1980 years away from getting to that. Yeah,
we're actually almost 10,000 years away from getting.
My galley ribbons are going to be Castrovalva and Lego Police.
Perfect.
That's one of my favorite Radiohead songs, Lego Police.
Lego my ego police.
I built
Arrest
up all
this
these
podcast.
bricks, but
yeah.
Sorry, I know this is backtracking a little bit, but
No, we only go forward in time. You told me that. You told me that.
I did tell you that. The electric wheelchair gets dropped in a river.
Mm-hmm.
And there's clearly what they're going for is, and it's electric wheelchair, so it's sparking. But it's just like a Roman candle goes off.
I'm glad you brought us back to this because equally, Nyssa's not Sonic is just 2 tubes of water so it can be waterlogged.
Yeah.
Which feels kind of rude. Doesn't, like, at least Romana got like a Sonic.
And then, here's the thing that is insane to me is that they
just now
before the wheelchair gets thrown into the river.
It absolutely takes a tumble. There's no other way to put it. Really.
Before that happens, they're pushing the wheelchair with the zero cabinet on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that happens, and they're unable to repair the electrical components of the wheelchair, which they were not using, they were pushing it along like a normal wheelchair. But once the electrical components were fried, they were just like, I guess we have to carry it now.
And they proceed to just have the longest sequence of them lugging this around and just going, it's so heavy. Shot in such a way that I think at least one person there had a very weird fetish about this. Of just, I want to see women carrying heavy things and struggling with something being heavy, and we're just going to film this for 20 minutes.
Yeah. On that note, if anybody is watching the video of this podcast episode at my funeral, I request no more than 2 really sexy female pallbearers to bring my casket out to the graveyard.
Yeah,
I should have acknowledged that you were the editor for this.
At least in the bits where the doctor is levitating, is Tegan fulfilling her duties as a flight attendant by taking care of the cabinet? Does that count?
Does that count as her caring for a plane and its passenger?
I've never had a flight attendant help me with my luggage.
Well, were you the luggage? Were you physically the luggage? That was the missing component, right?
I mean, I think this is what they're talking about when, like, on all the pre-boarding was like, if anybody has any special needs, wheelchairs or canes or small children, this is what,
if you're in a zero casket. If you're a levitating cabinet.
Yeah, I think that's just implied in that spiel.
There is actually more than one levitating casket in Doctor Who now that I think about it, so it does come up a lot.
Oh my god,
yeah. Again, you're
really
not going to get there for 400,000 years, but when you do,
forget about that. But yeah,
it does come up a lot. At least twice. I really did appreciate that part of Castrovalva was a tapestry that just was set on permanent anime flashback mode. Really useful, incredible device.
Yeah. I think that
so handy.
That was such a great thing because it was like, especially when the doctor was like, oh, what an ingenious invention. And it's like, it's less effective than a camera. Like,
to be fair, there are some real moments throughout. This is the general issue with the doctor's first stories or regenerative trauma stories, because it's relatively new for Castrovalva. Anyway, which is like, it's great for the actor, so useful for the actor to be able to just kind of start fresh and do their own thing. But for literally everyone else, from the characters to the cast to the people watching, it's really annoying. It's diabolically painful to have to sit through. And then on top of that, you have the like 2000s era comic book style decompression of this story that could be a one-parter. If
For real.
The kindest of senses, this could absolutely be 45 minutes on Disney Plus, and it would be one of the ones we don't like. You know, it'd be a toughie.
Especially because I watched the BBC order for this. So I watched all 4 parts of Castrovalva, and like, even that, there's a lot that happens in this whole adventure, but it still seems like they're padding it for time, which is insane to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, episode 1, they're like running away from the radio tower that Tom Baker fell off of, and there's like a chase through time. And then episode 2, they're like, oh no, we're gonna crash into the Big Bang, which, you know, we've of course covered extensively on this podcast.
Event 1.
Yeah, and then like toward the end of part 2, they like get to the planet, and then it's a lot of wandering around in the woods with a big box, and like it really, like, what happened? It's just a lot of like the Doctor being like, who am I? What's happening? Was there another one with me? I don't know.
Am I bleeding? Is someone?
I did appreciate it just going back to its educational roots of like, oh, we're gonna have the Sesame Street, a child telling you 3 comes after the number 2. Can you count to 3? 1, 2. What comes next? It's 3.
The curse of the Christopher Bidmead writing the show era is genuinely he tried to do a lot more hard sci-fi with the excuse of, I want to take it back to its educational roots. And this is a terrible start for that, because the Doctor's like, you have books? Books? Real? I was just like, what's happening? What's going on? We're going way back to first principles. What's happening, Christopher?
But then the Doctor saying, oh, you should get one of Adric's math badges really redefines what type of math he got a badge for. Maybe that's why he wasn't good with the dinosaurs. And like that's 7. What gives that's enough. Give her a badge. That's all also, you got to do.
Worth noting that technically the TARDIS crashing is Adric's fault because he programmed in the coordinates. So he's also a terrible pilot. Like, if he could only dial in 1, 2, and 3 for coordinates, that would explain a lot.
Yeah. Which I like the idea that like the actual like spatial temporal, like where they were physically going, that was all you needed was 1s, 2s, and 3s to make that happen. But where it got really complicated was like making sure the TARDIS is upright when it gets there. Like,
we have evidence of that, Becca.
Yeah, apparently.
It's in your edit of the show.
Yeah, it's canon. It's canon now.
So if this part's Adric's dream, and you've had Adric show up a bunch of times, at what point do you have to start wondering if, like Saint Elsewhere, this is all happening inside Adric's snow globe?
Yeah, could be. I mean, this might all be happening inside of still like Sasha Dhawan's mind sitting on that asteroid.
Oh,
for all we know.
Never mind. This is definitely all really happening. It's much better.
There's a lot of
Adric's mind because we're still in Sasha Dhawan's mind.
Oh no.
But this is what Sasha Dhawan is imagining Adric would imagine of
how Adric imagines his duck vagina.
Right. When they say they're trying to keep the placement of Sasha Dhawan's master and continuity vague, what they mean is right in the middle of Castrovalva, actually. Smack dab right in the center of Anthony Ainley's time in the part. Yeah, that's what they mean. Mm-hmm.
Yep, perfect.
Yes.
Perfect, no notes.
Got it. Thank you. Again, I'm writing this down.
Yeah, so now every time we go inside a character's mind in Stitches in Time, it's just we're going in multiple levels Inception style.
Stitchception, exactly. Yeah.
That's
one more banner you have to add is what level of the dream we're on now.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sacha Dhawan's dream inside of a dream, this does end with the master being trapped inside of his own Castrovalva, which I really think is an important metaphor about the dangers of masturbation.
This podcast sponsored by Kellogg's. Look them up.
The real after-school special of this episode.
Yeah. Oh my god. This is also like really, really lazy of them. They were like, oh, the master's getting into that fireplace. Oh, the fireplace is his TARDIS. And the special effect that they have of the master's TARDIS disappearing is keep the camera trained on Nyssa and Tegan as they narrate what's happening.
This is a recurring problem, especially like specifically in the Anthony Ainley Master era, which is that his TARDIS's chameleon circuit works, but they are stuck with the 80s Doctor Who production budget. So half the time it's just a Roman column that opens up and he's inside and he just walks out. He's like, ha, it's totally fine. Don't even worry about it.
Oh,
but it's also up there with
to be
like
clear,
every time.
When it's the Roman column, it does not open up. He steps behind it. Like the door is always on the other side of it from where the camera is.
It's just wide enough. It's exactly the width of his crazy sleeve things. His weird sleeve puffs. Just so he can hide behind it, kind of tree style. Which one time it's just a tree, and he's standing behind it. No, it's fine. Yep. Or it's a grandfather clock, and he's standing behind it. Or
it's a pipe organ at one point?
No, that was the Sixth Doctor's TARDIS. The one time it changed was it, and then it was a pipe organ, and then it was a really embarrassing cabinet, and then very quickly they were like, "Well, it's broken again. Never mind. That recognizable shape you've been looking for? Well, we'll take a look at this." Oh, yeah. And then they successfully sued the cops for the rights to the box, which rules.
Did they? Is that true?
Yeah, the Metropolitan Police were like, hey, that's technically our box. And the BBC was like, yeah, but we've been using it.
Yeah.
So
the only reason anyone knows that this exists is us.
It used to be a perfect disguise, and then we made a very successful show. Yeah.
If someone goes in calling for help, they're not asking you. They're not asking the police.
No. They're hoping it's the one time it's Doctor Who, and it's not Tom Baker, and it's not Sylvester McCoy, and it's not any of the other mean ones. It's definitely not John Pertwee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which one can you call? I think you've named all of them. They're all the good ones.
3 of the 15. That's not fair. And then there are also 3 bonus ones, and only one of those is Sacha Dhawan's. Don't worry about it. It's fine. You're good. The spare ones are the Fugitive Doctor and the War Doctor, so you're still not. It's still bad. It's still not good. But other than that.
Castrovalva is also called Dwellings of Simplicity, according to the BBC edit. That is not in Stitches in Time, because it happens on the TARDIS when they're flying there.
Nope.
Stupid. The only other thing I wrote down that I thought was so funny was when Nyssa screams,
"You've got to stop him! He's the master!"
at 2 people for whom that
doesn't mean nothing.
Possibly mean anything.
Yes. I laughed so hard at the moment of like, wait, what? It's also up there with Tegan and Nyssa are finally brought into Castrovalva.
We're looking for the doctor.
This is most strange. The other visitor told us the same thing.
Other visitor? That must be
the doctor.
And Tegan's first assumption is that must be the doctor. It's like, hang on. I'm sorry, what? There's a third. There's a fourth. You know Adric's missing, right? You know that too, right? Like, what do you...
What they also don't tell you is Tegan also recently regenerated and is very confused. Like,
yeah, she's not. Yeah, not operating at 1,000 on that one. Before, I also want to say one other thing I took down that was just a very felt just for me moment was Peter Davison going full Columbo with the loose page on his jacket, being like, "It's in this pocket. Nope, it's in this pocket. Nope, it's in this pocket. Ha ha! Had it the whole time." Funky little beat. Really enjoyed it.
I want to acknowledge the way that this ends once Peter Davidson is back to his full faculties and is no longer in regeneration curse things. First thing that he wants to do is fat shame everyone on the TARDIS and be like, we gotta jog more. Y'all gotta get fit.
All right, rest.
I see. I feel like that Hop 2 was him being like, look, I've seen myself as an old man. I've seen Colin Baker as an old man. We gotta trim this shit up. Which later, of course, leads to Melanie Bush as his choice for companion. Because he's like, gotta keep it going. Gotta trim it up.
A missed opportunity not having Melanie Bush at the Castrovalva. Gotta say. I did note the director of this was Fiona Cumming, which I found to be delightful.
Uh-oh. Didn't put that together at all.
Feel like, wow. I'm sure you were.
Uh-oh. My web. Also, this is the first of many times in the Davison era that Team TARDIS will just leave everyone to die, get in the TARDIS, and just get out of there. Mm-hmm. Time to go.
Well, in this case, all of those people were also invented by Adric, I think.
And that makes them less worthy of life or more worthy of life?
Well, like,
in your opinion, specifically, Becca.
I mean, Adric?
Exactly.
No, I mean...
Yes, right answer!
Well, no, what I really think is if you have to keep a child of no more than 12 years old in a web where he has to do magic math powers to keep things going, is that life to you, Michael Nixon?
I mean, I have worked in data entry, so it's not that.
No, that's true.
It's not that. Fewer anime flashbacks in that line of work, though. I wasn't projecting things onto tapestries as much.
But like a non-zero number still, right?
You have to do a PowerPoint every so often. Come on. Come on. I'm going to present the deck. What's the deck you got? You present the deck. Come on. Decks. Oh.
I don't have anything else about Castrovalva. I
gotta be honest, I was really worried kind of going into this because I've really hyped this up and it was really based off of... I've based my entire experience in Stitches in Time kind of around this, and I was kind of worried. Like, if this didn't end up being what I thought it was, like, I was prepared that this might be where my journey ends. Like, we might go up to the Zoom call and I'd roll up and you will have locked me out of the Zoom meeting. And you say in a call, no, you have to stay here. You have to stay with Ben in your post-apocalypse of 2025.
Mandy, I have to ask you, before you started watching this chunk of it for the podcast, what were you hoping this was going to be? This is something I should have asked you like last episode.
Oh, yeah. Oops.
But like, yeah, what were you hoping Castrovalva was going to end up being as an episode?
assumed that it would be something that would be incomprehensible to my small human mind.
Well, it turns out it was something that was incomprehensible because our minds are too big, and it was a very stupid episode.
In
My
fairness,
brain is too smooth.
I've
Too
never been in
smooth.
the mind of a 14/500-year-old boy.
Here's to you, the Scorpion King. Here's to you. Yikes.
Well, yes, that wraps up our discussion of Castrovalva, the Doctor Who episode named for Castrovalva, the town castle thing,
Named
which was
for
named
the castration vulva. Give it the respect that it deserves.
Named after the MC Escher drawing Castrovalva, which was named after the Italian village depicted in that MC
That
Escher
was
drawing.
named
Castrovalva.
after a vulva that castrates, famously seen in the movie Teeth and or the musical Teeth.
Which has sadly closed.
It is sadly closed. We missed it. But apparently there is an actual sound recording, so it might be the first time that I actually listened to a musical recording soundtrack in probably 20 years. I have not done that, but I might for this.
Damn.
Hit us up. You can ask me how I feel. I will release my opinions about the soundtrack in the form of a 5-star review on Stitches in Time.
Amazing.
We know how MC Escher felt about Castrovalva, but do we know how MC Escher felt about Castlevania?
No. And I refuse to find out because I think that would involve a time machine.
Disgraceful.
Disgraceful.
You'll find out in the 1980s, which is 60,000 episodes away. Right, okay.
Yeah. I do, speaking of 5-star reviews, this is not a 5-star review. It's not even a review, but it is a message we got on Blue Sky. From J. Finks Hoovian. Said, I discovered the Stitches in Time podcast yesterday, and I am currently about to start episode 18. So, big fan. This is exactly what I want from a Doctor Who rewatch. Finally, it's being taken seriously. And then replied to the same thing. And about 48 hours later, I'm completely caught up on Stitches in Time. I'm honestly not sure what it says about me that I truly love this concept. I'm actually debating catching up on the edit and then watching along. You absolutely should do that. And I don't know what it says about me that I am doing this podcast or that this even exists as an idea, or help me.
No.
No.
Good point. Keep it up.
I'm trapped in here with you.
That's true. I also have a listener question. Came to us from a listener named Amy Vorpal. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Who's that?
It does Doctor Who get good? Did I see a good episode or a bad episode?
I'm sorry, Amy. That question is impossible to answer.
Who can tell?
But she also did ask if how many Doctor Who settings are like real versus sci-fi fantastical, and I went through the spreadsheet, and I mean this is not really an exact science because I was just kind of going by, well, generally this episode takes place like in a real historical era or present day or whatever. So I found that there are 193 sort of real settings that Doctor Who uses, not settings, but like episodes that take place in real things, and 183 fantastical sort of more made up societies. So almost split down the middle, which I was surprised about.
That's really strange for a show that takes place in the fictional town of Wales. Famously a town.
Well, you heard it here. Castrovalva broke Mandy.
As a reminder to you all, I went to public school in Florida.
Right.
And Mandy, if people wanted to correct you on the sentence you just said, what's our email address again for complaints and questions?
Oh, it's a 5-star review on iTunes.
Oh, okay, great. Perfect. Michael, where can people find you if they wanted to find you in cyberspace or in real life? Don't give out your home address.
I am trapped in a weird web of spikes relating my feelings into a tapestry called Blue Sky at Michael Nixon on most of the socials media. I'm on that one. I'm on Instagram. I'm on a few others. But mostly check out Good Chaotic, the other podcast I'm on. I'm on that slightly more regularly than this one, but I do play a tiny spherical robot, so it's a little bit different. Slightly, just a little bit.
Because in this one, you're a square robot.
Yeah, I'm a sort of cube of annoyance cube. Bother square.
No, we love Michael Nixon.
We do.
Square of love. A delight to see, a delight to have and behold.
We loved having you on this episode of the podcast. We hope to have you on at least 3 more sometime in your future, our past. And
sure. Can the next one I'm on not be someone's dream? Is that possible? No, I want all dreams. I want the most snow globe shit you can throw at me, actually. Never mind.
In the metaphor of Becca as kind of our doctor and me as a companion, and Ben is our master, is our enemy of the show, or might be a Dalek. I think Ben is more of a Dalek, honestly, of like just has a fundamentally different understanding. I feel like you, Michael, are our River Song, and that like we just cross paths in a wildly different. We come to different times. We're on very separate journeys, and sometimes we come together. Like you know more about what we're experiencing before we do. Sometimes
it's not accurate. Sometimes I'm just holding a trowel for no reason. That tracks. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, lovely.
And alternate thought there, Becca, as the Matrix archivist, you were like Chancellor Goth in that one Fourth Doctor story, just tormenting us with random visions inside the Matrix. That's a different view of it, but equally caring.
Yes.
I like Mandy's version
I'll
better.
Handle that.
It's much nicer.
I also just recorded a little bit of dialogue for the Good Chaotic podcast. So you can hear me, I was told, in episodes 9 and 10.
Yes.
You can hear me guest on that. I read the script I was given. I don't know anything about what happens in that episode, but I am very excited to find out. And I'm very excited for our next episode, which is going to be some little random number generated pieces of The Caretaker, the Peter Capaldi episode.
You can find me not on the Good Chaotic podcast because you assholes haven't invited me to do anything.
Yet? Yeah. And you know as well as the rest of us that all of our friends get pulled into our stuff eventually, so it's only a matter of time before the great big lasso wraps around you and we drag your ass into an intro of the show too.
Mandy will be playing Susan Foreman on Good Chaotic.
Oh no! She's loose!
I actually, through a series of legal loopholes, I own Susan in the first episode of Doctor Who.
Whoa!
That's probably the best outcome we could hope for at this point. No, it's going to be fine.
Love it. Cool. Well, thanks for listening, and even though we've come to the end of our Castrovalva journey, Castrovalva goes on forever in some ways.
There's a little Castrovalva inside of all of us.
Ew.
Thanks for listening to Stitches in Time. Music by Becca McGlynn. Art by Mandy Oquendo. Logo by Ben Paddon. Produced by Becca McGlynn and Ben Paddon. Please make sure to rate us and leave us a nice review. It helps new fans find the show.
I only watch for like 45 minutes. That's the Stitches edit.
That's true, yeah.
That's a lot of show for y'all. I feel like usually it's
Yeah.
like a second and a half.
It's true.
Also why I had to take notes. But it's nice. It does mean that I can also have the ability to rewind, because typically it's like 4 seconds long, and trying to rewind on 4 seconds is not doable.
Murgrave has devised a new religion he calls exercise.
Let's go for it.
All
Let's
right.
cast these valves.
Let's cast them. Teeth.
Let's do an explicit episode. Ready? Let's record. One marked explicit, folks.
Oh, they're all marked explicit.
This was episode 1.
I'm trying optimism. I'm trying optimism. It's new for me. It's going so good.
I'm glad and I'm happy for you.
Seems very natural on you, being an optimist.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me, Portreeve, off the record, will I find the doctor here?
Oh, yes, Doctor, very soon.
I lost 3 minutes, so I probably lost my
shit.
entire rant about it. Let me know, Becca, if I did, and I'll just repeat it in a recording again.
Okay, cool. I can probably use the Zoom for any dropped stuff. I can probably use the Zoom recording audio recording.
But let me know if you have any issues with the audio, because usually when it happens, it is just me being silent, and then I realize, oh, it's not working, and I've only lost like 30 seconds.
Okay.
This is entirely me talking, but it does mean that I'm fully prepared to rant about this again.
This is the core of the podcast. This is the main argument, other than several other arguments I'm going to make later. But, you have to have this one.
You understand medicine, Doctor?
Oh, not as well as you. But I'm afraid one of us is deluded about geography.
I've been fucking around with a little Cyberman toy and just bending him around, and he ended up in this shape.
I'm shocked.
Oh, showing off his little Castrovalva, huh?
Yeah, I didn't know that they can bend that way, and they probably can't.
It depends on
Collectors
which generation
hate
of
me.
Cyberman you're talking about. I think, like the Hartnell and Troughton era ones, probably not. But once you get into
This is a pug baby,
the
one of the
baby.
beautiful 80s boys. Yep.
Mhm.
and his
One
face.
of the ones who was there when Adric died.
Yep.
Died with Adric. Hey, we're spending a lot of time talking about how Adric died, and we're not talking about how that other Cyberman was there and he also died.
I talked a lot about how that Cyberman gave the craziest death performance ever. So that's not true, Becca. That's not true, Ellen.
Yeah, where's the Big Finish audio talking about what if that Cyberman had lived?
Okay, so there's a box set series called Cyberman, and there's no way they didn't do one episode about how that worked out. They did like 4 or 5 box sets. It definitely happened. Because they always get time travel, and they always undo everything they did, so continuity's fine. Like most Big Finishes, it ends with someone going, "What? What's that? What happened?
No, it
What do you
didn't.
mean? Missy who? River what? A fish, you say?"
With this tapestry and with patience, there's nothing one cannot achieve.
What? My thing fucking stopped again. I don't know what's
No.
going on with this. I'm gonna have to figure out what's going on with Audacity, because it is not being my friend.
It's got a little too much audacity.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah,
That's
it
scary.
keeps stop. It's probably something in the setting of like, oh, if you are too close to a thing, If you yell too loudly, we'll stop.
If you're pontificating too much about duck vaginas, we're gonna shut the whole thing down.
If you say the phrase duck penis, the app just closes.
This is
It's
a
just- it's how it's spelled.
Christian app.
Yeah. It's,
Because Dark Audacity does not want you to hear what I have to say.
So rude.
mm-hmm.
But Daddy Zoom, the only reason we keep doing those episodes is because they're the only ones who will let me speak the truth.
Big bad Zoom daddies, as we all call them.
Mostly because they're using me as the template for those AI assistants that Zoom wants to implement.
Nope.
It's just going to be me in your meetings talking about duck vaginas.
Honestly, I think that would be great because I think it would really throw off the entire evolution of AI if it used you, Mandy, as
Just
its
me.
sole
Just
source
feed me
of-
into the system. Sacrifice me.
Yeah, this is when an AI is like, what does a normal human do and talk about? Let's talk to Mandy, and that's gonna be our baseline.
I really feel like Buffy at the end of season 5 jumping into this, like, yeah, just swallow me whole. Just take me for humanity.
Your UPN era is going to be tough, but I have faith in you.
We'll have a musical episode. It'll be great.
Perfect. Yeah, that makes up for everything. Yeah. The thing about AI assistants is they're all really run by people. There's all this hidden human work with AI assistants, by which I mean Adric trapped in a giant web of machines running the AI. Obviously, it's all
Just being tortured by pipes.
Yep. It's all one big weird, funky web that Adric stuck in behind a tapestry.
And every so often, he shows up in somebody's mirror and is like, "Help me, help me!
Mm-hmm.
Don't turn around!
Don't look at me! Don't do it! Just imagine it's AI. Don't see the people. Don't see the hidden cost." Anyway.
For the final meeting of the Doctor with his master.
Now I'm like thinking about the Orpheus myth again. I'm just like, yeah, I get why they did Hades Town and not Castrovalva Town. It's a lot. Way down Castrovalva Town. That doesn't. The scansion's all off.
Hi there, the Idiot's Lantern Doctor Who sketch comedy group. Have I got the weirdest idea for you? Are you ready for this one?
This was based on one scene that you will probably forget in part 3, I want to say, of Castrovalva.
Mm-hmm.